We are entering today the time of watching, the time of waiting, the time of searching for light in the darkness, the time of prophets and messages of hope. The powerful figures of these ancient prophets continue to stir our hearts year after year, even thousands of years later. Not all prophets were named Isaiah or Micah or Jeremiah or John the Baptist. Not all of them lived in the desert. Not all of them lived millennia ago. In every age and in every land, Spirit-filled men and women have raised their voices and raised their lives in living witness to the living truth, the living light, the living God inside all of us. Most especially when the night is darkest, do these brilliant lights appear. Our own generations have been witness to some of the very darkest times of human history. Who does not know of the unspeakable horrors brought on around the time of what we now call the Second World War, when two cruel enemies of all that is human, one named Hitler, the other named Stalin, brought unprecedented terror to the peoples of Europe. The story has been told and retold and pressed into the collective human memory. It remains to be seen whether its lessons have been learned. What has not been told, at least not often enough, are the stories of the heroes and prophets of a light which blazed up in an extraordinary brilliance, matched only by the extraordinary darkness surrounding it. It is well known that in the countries under Nazi control, many human beings, particularly Jews, were subject to deportation, being considered undesirable and undeserving of the place they had made their home. Sometimes they were accused of crimes as an excuse for this treatment, but their only real crime was being where they were not wanted. Even if people did not know where their neighbors were being sent, nor the inhuman fate awaiting most of them, still the inhumane deportation itself was a crime that cried out to heaven, a cruel act of barbarism that filled every truly human heart with horror and should have been protested loudly by every neighbor, every citizen, every church, and every living, breathing human being. It was not by all, that is. Early in 1943, the government in Bulgaria was ordered by the Nazis to deport 20,000 Jews from the country. The Jewish population was rounded up and packed into trains of boxcars to take them forcibly out of the country they called home. What no one knew was that the secret destination of these boxcars was the extermination camp at Treblinka in occupied Poland. At that time, one of the most respected and revered persons in the country was the Bulgarian Orthodox bishop, Metropolitan Kirill, who was to become Patriarch of all Bulgaria. On March 10th, Metropolitan Kirill unexpectedly marched right into the train station with hundreds of church members. He was a formidable man of great prestige and greater courage, and so not even the dumbfounded SS officers dared to stop him as he boldly pushed his way through them, making his way to the Jewish men, women, and children inside the boxcars. Reaching the train, he called out to the poor prisoners inside with the beautiful words from the book of Ruth in the Hebrew Scriptures. "Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." The bishop then threw open the door to one of the cars and climbed in to accompany his terrified Jewish brothers and sisters in their deportation from the country. Now the officers did stop him, and they pulled him from the densely packed boxcar. Undaunted, the brave bishop did something even more unheard of. He walked right up in front of the train, and in all his robes stood on the tracks facing the engine, shouting out that if the train dared to move, he would lie down on the tracks in front of it. If these unfortunate people were to be deported, it would be quite literally over his dead body. News of the courageous bishop's extraordinary act of civil disobedience spread like wildfire across the land. The people and the church rose up in rebellion and similar acts of defiance, and no Jew was deported from the land. Thanks to this tremendous miracle of human solidarity, Bulgaria was the only Nazi-controlled country whose Jewish population was actually greater at the end of the war than at the beginning. Probably no one else had the personal prestige to be able to do what he did and achieve what he achieved. He knew this. He knew what he had to do, and he did it. That is a prophet. There are men and women whose powerful words give prophetic witness to the light, and there are men and women whose heroic actions make them true prophets of the same light. The church has been accused, and sometimes justly, of not having stood up more firmly against the blatant injustices being perpetrated against fellow human beings during those infamous dark hours. May we never again be guilty of the insidious sin of silence, but with ancient Ruth and courageous Kirill, call out in solidarity to those in desperate need. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Please God, the dark and terrible days of deportation and discrimination are forever behind us. Please God, humanity has moved beyond hatred and racism and the blindness of ignorance. Please God, we have learned as a species not to allow the annihilation of the planet by greed or neglect or war, but have finally reached that perfection painted by the prophet, where we beat our swords into plowshares and our spears into pruning hooks, where one nation shall not raise the sword against another, nor train for war ever, ever, ever again. But if the darkness is not yet over, then please God, send us brave and brilliant prophets, willing to raise a voice and light a light, willing to lay themselves down before the oncoming train of destruction. O house of Jacob, come, let us walk and walk together in the wonderful light of the Lord.